Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this workshop. You can see we decided to opt for a different room layout just to shake ourselves up a little bit, because sometimes sitting at round tables all the time kind of creates a mindset. So we thought we'd try to explode that a little bit this morning. I'm very happy this morning to present just the very opening of this workshop, which is entitled "How to Attract and Nurture Quality Think Tank Researchers." And I hope you found that title intriguing. Perhaps that's why you've come to this session. But the intention, as with all of the workshops today, is that this should be a really interactive, practical session, which is really going to facilitate an exchange of experiences. So the session has a number of objectives, as you will have seen from the program. And the first of all is just to provide insights into think tanks' efforts into how think tanks are actually going about strengthening the quality of their research through the researchers that they have. And also, particularly to highlight lessons on what works and what doesn't work in terms of incentivizing and supporting researchers to do quality work. And then, very importantly, sharing of experiences on how think tanks build capacity of quality researchers. And then also to think about strategies to how to mentor, build capacity, and develop competences of research staff. And this workshop really comes about because of the particular challenge that we've heard coming up through many of the conversations in the Think Tank Initiative, that it's very challenging to attract quality researchers to think tanks for a whole range of reasons. And we're going to hear more about those shortly. And what we wanted in this workshop to have a chance to think, well, what strategies, what tactics are you using to do that? How are you actually bringing in researchers into your organizations? And once you have them, how do you keep them? And not only keep them, but help them to grow professionally, personally, and to help them to cope with the range of competing attentions from other organizations, from bilaterals from the corporate sector, from universities who may see your researchers as being very attractive propositions for themselves and try to lure them away. So how do you create the conditions in your organizations to really encourage them to stay there and to want to be part of your organization? So that's what this workshop is about, and in a moment I'm going to hand over to my colleagues. But first I just want to say about the context of this specific workshop, and it comes from a small activity within the Think Tank Initiative which is very dear to me. It's been a really good part of my experience in the Think Tank Initiative really for the last year. We have a small action research program which is going on in the Think Tank Initiative involving 5 organizations. And those 5 organizations are the Institute of Economic Affairs in Ghana, IPAR in Rwanda, Grupo Faro in Ecuador, SIPA in Sri Lanka, and SDPI in Pakistan. And basically this action research process has been an attempt to understand how think tanks are actually building organizational capacity in their own institutions. And it's an action research project because, as you may know, typically in an action research project, the idea is you identify a problem or a challenge, you address how you're going to work on that challenge, and you develop some questions which you're going to answer as you try to address that challenge through practical action. And that's what makes it action research. It's not just action, where you're doing things, that's very important, but it's also researching into what do you learn through the process of undertaking those actions and reflecting on those actions. And typically, what happens is as you go through the process, you undertake some actions, you reflect, you answer those questions, and then you redesign your approach. You adapt, you adjust, revise, depending on what you're learning as you go forward. And sometimes action research processes can be very long, sometimes they can be shorter. This is one that probably we will undertake collectively in this group for probably 2 years in total, and we're about halfway through that process just now. So the Organizational Capacity Group, or the OCB group, is a strong identity which has evolved out of this group. you may hear them referring to that as we go through, really are looking at a broad range of issues within the organization, but particularly how do you build organizational capacity for quality research. Within that, one of the hot topics that's come up is the issue of researchers. We usually have a call once a month with Skype or more recently with WebEx, which is improving our communications. And we've had some great conversations about, what in each institution is actually happening on the ground. How do you incentivize researchers? How do you encourage them? How do you enable them to do quality work over a long period of time? And we've had some fantastic practical examples shared in the group. And that's what we're going to look at today. But this is a chance for us to go beyond that group of 5 institutions and to extend that to a wider conversation. So I'm very happy that here in the room today, from those 5 institutions, we have Jean Mensah and Michael Mensah from IEA Ghana. We have Romesh from SEPA. We have Vakar from SDPI. We have Andrea, I think it's Andrea here as well, but Orazio from Grupo Faro. And and Antonia from IPAR Rwanda, yes. And they are going to lead this workshop today. And with that...